In this episode, we talk about miracles.
Miracles. For real. Actual miracles.
I'm Siena.
And I'm Toast.
We're partners in love, life, and music. And we've been together since 2001.
With each episode of this podcast, our goal is to help our fellow LGBT community members lift their lives to the next level. All right. Welcome to this episode that we're excited about, but also a little apprehensive about because we haven't ever spoken about this exact topic before.
Have we not?
And not that I recall. Not in 7 years.
Oh, okay.
At least.
All right. I think maybe we did, but
A long time ago?
yeah, so we could do it again.
Okay. For the people who weren't necessarily there 7 years ago? All right.
Hi, everyone.
Hello. Oh, speaking of for the people who were there from the beginning, our
What?
friend Mishi.
Oh, yeah.
Right, we
Quick
have a
shout out
shout-out.
to Mishi. To Mishi, who did a really sweet Instagram story highlighting our podcast. So that was so nice of her. And her text on the Instagram story was, trying to catch up to one of my favorite podcasts of all time. Check them out, Siena and Toast. That's so sweet. And Mishi really was a day oneer. Mm-hmm. She's been there from day one. Mm-hmm. She used to have a podcast with her sisters. And these days, you can check Mishi out on Instagram. She has a great Instagram feed that has all of her vegan dishes, as well as her fitness routines and her cats. But what's amazing is that even though she does do some posts on food that she has out at restaurants, so much of what she posts are things that she actually makes.
Yeah, she pretty much
Looks
kills
so
it
yummy.
in the,
Yes.
in the vegan and fitness
And fitness, yeah.
arena.
She's really transformed her
jump
entire
back,
life.
okay?
Yes.
Because
She's
bringing
awesome.
it. Yeah.
But if you want to check out her Instagram,
Oh, yes. Her Instagram name or username, right, is what it is.
Yeah.
It's eccentric, but you spell it XXENTRIC.
yep,
So
on
eccentric.
Instagram.
So if you want
Thanks, Mishi,
yeah,
for listening.
vegan and fitness
Yay.
stuff.
Yeah, check her out. Okay, so we are so excited because very soon we will be seeing some visitors who are also friends and podcast listeners. So we're so excited to hang out and do some Portlandy things with them.
Within the next few days, it's going to be happening.
I know, within the next few days.
And-
you guys, we're so behind on our, well, we're not behind on our podcast,
But we're not ahead.
But-
we
but-
used to be ahead and have a few
'Cause
episodes
we were
in the
batching.
bank and just release
I know,
them.
but you know what? Life happens, but you can trust that we will be here. And so this episode is coming out. We're recording it a few days before it's going to come out, actually, right?
Right.
So,
And after that, we may or may not. We're going to play it by ear, guys. But we are thinking of trying to record a podcast episode
yes,
with our friends and fellow podcast listeners.
yes.
Just right here in Portland. And
would-
since we're all getting together, we'll see.
I know.
We'll
I
see.
would love to do that.
Yeah.
I would really love to do that. I'm just not sure how it would work with the technology. I mean, I guess we would pass the microphone around and see instead of doing like a room mic, right?
I think so. I think that's going
Room
to sound
mic.
better.
Yeah. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes. Wish us luck. Hope we have something fun for you all to hear soon. But now we're going to talk about the miracles.
Yeah.
So I love this because I grew up in a family where all kinds of weird stuff happened. Well, people would think they're weird, like woo woo, they would say, or magical moments or, things like that. And other people would say, oh, wow, those are miracles. So it was not unusual for me growing up. But what about you, Toast?
I feel like it was the opposite. That's my sense of my childhood. And
No
I grew up.
woo-woo, no woo-woo happening.
I feel like the way that all children have an active imagination and love Christmas, for instance, that sort of thing, and the Easter Bunny and all that, right? Believing in magic in that way. Yeah, I relate to that. But looking back on my family, now that I have a wider context of the types of families that are out there, I don't think I would say my family dealt
Embrace
in
the woo-woo.
miracles.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think so. It's odd though. Okay, I will qualify that.
Okay.
Because I was raised Protestant, right? Evangelical, Christian, Sunday school, vacation Bible school. Those of you who know the Christian culture would recognize those things. So there was a sense of, hey, pray for certain things, and there's the hope and the some kind of belief that, hey, prayer will help and change things.
Well,
and
a
watch
big
for
belief, right? That's the
things.
whole, or no?
I guess, but the sense that I got at that time was, it didn't feel magical.
Oh, okay.
I'll say that.
Okay.
I'll say that. It didn't feel magical. It felt more like this is what a good Christian person does. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It kind of fell more into the category of what you should and what you ought to do.
Like
and
proper behavior.
And how, yeah.
Okay.
But you grew up in a Catholic home.
Yes. So I was raised Catholic, Filipino Catholic. So that's like even more Catholic. Can I say that? I guess, I said it already.
The Catholic Church, yes. Did very good work in the Philippines.
Yes.
Apparently.
Yes. So, but, the women in our family very much were
witchy, yeah.
We're in tune with, the divine.
That shaman thing going on
And
from
yet-
way back in the Filipino
But it was
days.
hidden. But it was hidden in a way. Like everyone was kind of doing their own thing, their own private, relationship, exploring their private relationship with the divine in
Right.
various ways.
So can I
Because
make a clarification here? So you grew up in a Catholic family, but when you're talking about the women in your family line
Yes.
and they're being in touch with the divine and stuff,
Yeah.
that was not necessarily part of their Catholicism in a strict way.
Absolutely not.
Right?
No,
So it's kind
no.
of like these two concurrent things
Yes.
going on. It's two
And I'm
parallel things going on at the same time.
Yes, and I'm so grateful for that. I'm so grateful for that. So on one hand, we had Catholicism. So we were raised to pray a certain way, like on your knees before bed. You recited prayers. Every Sunday you went to church and you had to dress up and look nice and all that kind of stuff. So, and there was a lot of the guilt that, the Catholic guilt that people talk about. That's real in the sense that I definitely felt it. And, but okay, so that on one hand, we had that going on. On the other hand, I noticed my aunts kind of, doing different things like, using crystals. There was sage and pendulums and, even one of my great grandpas had a beautiful crystal collection, like real crystals. Like he actually found them out in the wild
Himself.
Yes. He didn't go to, Sedona store and buy them, right?
He didn't go to the New Age store downtown.
No, he didn't. And so
He went to the natural store
yes,
in the wilderness.
yes, the
Yeah.
nature. And so there were things happening, there were books and things that as a very young girl, I was very intrigued by. And I'd go in there, you know, when one aunt in particular didn't know, and I would go and read, you know, look at her books. I could read very little, but, you know, just like looking at the pictures and things like that. But as I got older, there were certain books that I would gravitate towards. So anyway, so these two worlds kind of coexisted, and I'm so grateful for that because it really expanded my upbringing in Catholicism, which felt very confining.
Yes. So did you feel at that time that there was a conflict between those two, or did you feel like, no, this is just life?
I knew that my grandma also was kind of woo-woo, and she was the most Catholic of us all. Okay. She also went to church on the weekdays, you know, so she was really devout in how she expressed her devotion, you know, her religion and what she chose to do. But at the same time, she was very intuitive, and she was doing, you know, she was doing stuff too, but it just felt like you weren't supposed to be. So I don't know. That maybe that's why she tried to make us all feel guilty, because she felt guilty. I don't know. You know,
could be. Yeah.
So it definitely it didn't feel embraced. It wasn't embraced. You had to hide that side of yourself. So, but the reason I'm grateful for those two worlds is that I feel like the latter world of just that other kind of connection with the divine and the earth and crystals and things like that, I really feel like that left a part of my spirit open. You know, it didn't just shut me down to my world is a Catholic world. You know, I felt like it allowed me to stay open at the top.
Yes.
To explore other things, because I know that as a kid, you know, I didn't have a choice. Like, that's just what they taught me.
Oh, go to catechism. And
yes. You know,
that's what they call it, right?
Yeah, catechism. For school. Yeah, catechism. You pray before bed. You know, you have no choice. You just have to do what they tell you to do.
Right. When you're a kid and your family decides, oh, we're going to raise them Christian, or we're going to raise them Mormon, or we're going to raise them.
And that's part of
that's all you're
healthy upbringing. You know, they're giving you a structure. But as you get older, you know, there comes a time when you want to separate yourself from the tribe and to really question and go, hey, does this feel right to me? How does this feel to me? And then make a choice, you know, and choose it or not choose it, or what it might be. But I know that probably around the time I was before high school, I would say, right before high school, I started to feel like this can't be all, you know, there's more than this. And there were definitely things I loved about Catholicism, but there were other things that didn't sit well. So that, I don't know if you relate to that with your...
I do, in the sense that I was raised Protestant, as I said, and the question of the problem of evil, right? If God is good and all powerful, why do bad things happen? And those types of questions and doubts definitely troubled me, I guess.
Okay.
But, you know, the church was such a big part of my life. It was our social life. Most of my family's friends were through the church. So in one way, I think it was just a part of just social life.
Yeah, and you know what? Well, that's, as I learned about Christianity, and that was different from Catholicism. And I saw how the Christians, they would have potlucks.
And the pancake.
And the pancake breakfast and the spaghetti dinners and just all this family feeling, socialization around a nice meal. I was like, I want to be Christian. Because It wasn't like that.
And you know
Catholicism.
Well, what's interesting is that I would say when I was around, I guess, high school and shortly after, maybe, I found myself really drawn to the ritual and the formalities of the Catholic Church. Because growing up on the opposite end, I felt that that's what I was missing. Right, so we kind of came from opposite ends. On the Catholic side, it's all structure and formalities and rituals, and everything is very formalized. Right? There's a way to do every single thing. You just show up, you go through these motions, you're good. Versus at least that was my one way of perceiving it, I guess. And then on the other end of the spectrum, where I was more raised, is things are very informal. Hey, just show up and you can come to church even in shorts.
Oh God, no.
You know, and some of the older people didn't like that when the young kids would, young people would do that. But hey, it's all informal because God just loves you. It doesn't matter, you just keep it informal. And you never knew exactly what was going to happen at the church service. It had a general format, but there was no liturgy of, okay, first you make this motion, then you kneel down, then you stand up. No, it's just, you just, And so I think, so I felt for myself, I had a hunger for a deeper sense of the sacred. Like, I think,
through ritual, right?
Yeah,
through
I think my heart was wanting something that called for a sense of reverence.
Yeah.
Instead of, hey, God loves everybody, so whatever.
Oh yeah, no,
right?
Not in Catholicism.
No.
God doesn't love everyone. You have to do X, Y, and Z before God will love you.
But so those are the differences as we experience them.
So, anyways, we started thinking about how we were raised and our religions that we were raised in. And by the way, both Toast and I are not traditionally practicing Catholics nor traditionally practicing Christians, I would say. We have come to our own spirituality and structure and relationship with the divine individually. And in some ways, certain things overlap that feels just really good to us. But the reason why we thought about all of this is because I did want to share a story with all of you that I consider a miracle in the most traditional sense of the word miracle, when you think of what that word means. And it all started when I first began Catholic school.
Right.
And so what happened is that
this miracle happened when you were in what would it have been?
Seventh grade,
right?
Yeah,
okay.
7th grade.
Because up until 7th grade, you were not in Catholic school.
I was not.
You
I was
were
in public
just
school.
regular public school in Honolulu, Hawaii.
Yes.
So you had your friends.
I had all my friends there. I was the only one going away to a private school, which felt weird. I also, it was just, okay, so this is how it is. So the Catholic school that I went to was formed in the early 1900s. It's a very large school, very old buildings, and coming from a public school, going to this private school just felt and was so scary. Going to this big building and then now having a uniform to wear. And so I remember on my first day of school in 7th grade,
and especially at that age, because at age, if you have your friends that you
don't have your friends anymore.
Right?
You care what people think in a big way because that's just part of growing up. You want to fit in. You're trying to see where do I belong. And I just did not feel like I belonged in this place because it felt very fancy. The way the building structures were at the time, in the early 1900s, it was very ornate.
Yeah, this big imposing stone structures.
And So on my first day of school, I wore the wrong socks. The uniform was very to code, and I had the right uniform I was wearing, but I wore the wrong socks.
And you only discovered that after showing up at school, after being dropped off?
Showing up at school, and I wore the wrong shoes. So already I'm standing out because I have the wrong socks and the wrong shoes on. And then not only that, but silly me, I had this idea that once you get into 7th grade, that you didn't use a backpack. Where's that from? I don't know why I didn't think. So I was carrying all of my books and this little bag that had, my pens and stuff. So here I am carrying all my books, and I have no bag because I insisted that no, by the time, you don't care. I don't know where the heck that came from, because boy, did I have a backpack that I had to haul around after that. So anyways, I go to school, and everyone just felt so much smarter than me. I felt like I didn't belong there. I felt like nobody liked me. Nobody talked to me. I'm wearing the wrong clothes. I don't have a backpack. So now I'm a weirdo because I don't have, where's my backpack? Everyone has a backpack. So why don't I have one? And it was just such a challenging experience.
This is all on the first day.
This is all on the first day. Everyone else knew each other because they all went to kindergarten through 6th grade at that school. So they go to 7th grade, and there were very few of us that were new coming in as 7th graders. So I had such a hard time, and I didn't feel like I belonged. And even the whole cafeteria experience was different because in public school, you're just served what you're served.
Right. You just get in line and get your food and go sit down. Right?
Here was a whole different experience because now you had all these options. So then you're standing in different lines. There's all different choices, and that just feels weird. And then you need to find where to sit. So just that whole experience. And I just missed my friends. I felt like I didn't belong there. I just didn't belong there.
Did you feel worse and worse as the day went on, as you realized, oh my gosh, now I don't have a backpack?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. And the uniform was uncomfortable. You just felt ridiculous. I felt ridiculous in a uniform, coming from a school where I could wear whatever I wanted. Right. Now I'm in a uniform, wrong socks, wrong shoes, no backpack. And I'm set loose in the cafeteria with all these options and no friends, nowhere to sit. And
all by yourself.
All by myself. And not only that, also on the very first day of school, I walked in through the wrong doors. So basically, this school had a lot of structure, which I'm very grateful for. But one of the things they had structured is that there was a certain entryway that was only allowed to be used by seniors, because that was part of the senior, you are a senior now.
It's a status symbol to be able to walk through those doors.
So as a senior, you can walk through these doors and walk to campus this way. As a 7th grader, I walked through those doors, and I was told I wasn't supposed to walk through those doors. So I just did everything wrong. I couldn't have done anything more wrong. I did everything. I wore the wrong thing, all of it. So that first week was so hard. That was the first day. But the first week, I didn't feel like it was getting better. However, what happened later in that week is that one of my, who would be a friend later, who would become a friend later, her mom was a very devout Catholic. And she would she was an amazing woman, and she would hand out prayer cards. And prayer cards are these beautiful small cards, like the size of a baseball card, when you think of that. Prayer cards are very beautifully formed cards that have full color on one side, and on the other side, it's a prayer. So on one side, it might have a saint on it, and on the other side, there's a prayer that specifically invokes that saint's energy. And you are praying to that saint. And so when I first met my friend's mother, she was handing out prayer cards. And she said, here, take a prayer card. And I remember when I took it from her, I was struck by how beautiful the card was. So it had the Saint Therese on it. Saint Therese was on the cover, on the card, and it was
a painting
of her. And it had beautiful, like gold embossing on that one side of the card. And I just remember like, wow, this is so pretty. And I treated it very much like precious.
Was it like a medievalish style, like a stained glass kind of rendering?
Not a stained glass. It was like a like what you said, like a painting of the saint. Mm-hmm. The colors were very rich, and the edging had nice gold on it. And so I put it in my new backpack. By the first end of the first week, I had a backpack. Put it in my backpack, and I remember that same day, it was lunchtime, and everyone went off to lunch because everyone just knew where they belonged and where they were going to go. And I stayed behind that day, and I was just like, oh, I don't want to go to lunch because it just felt so uncomfortable to me still. And I remembered the prayer card, and I took it out of my bag, and I sat at my desk all alone in the classroom. No one else was there. And at a distance, I could hear, kids playing and laughing and just what sounded like living and fun and life. And I so wanted to be a part of that. But here I was in the classroom all alone. The lights were off. And I'm just there at my desk in my uniform, looking at this beautiful card now in my hands. And I felt so alone in that moment. And I remember I flipped the card around and I started to read the prayer. So I pulled it up because I thought it would help to give the example of this moment. So I'll go ahead and read it. So the prayer, again, this is Saint Therese, and there's lots of different prayers. Saint Teresa, there's so many different saints out there. So this one is my Novena Rose Prayer. So I read the prayer, and it goes, O little Therese of the child Jesus, please pick for me a rose from the heavenly gardens and send it to me as a message of love. O little flower of Jesus, ask God today to grant the favors I now place with confidence in your hands. And here, this part of the prayer is where you mention your specific requests. And I remember praying and asking to help me to feel accepted. Help me to find friends and to feel like I belong here. So that was my specific request to this saint. And the prayer goes on, Saint Therese, help me to always believe as you did in God's great love for me, so that I might imitate your little way each day. Amen. Very simple prayer. So that's what I prayed. And I remembered as I sat there, I felt one way as I began the prayer, but right after I prayed it, I truly felt this wash of calm come over me. Like it was like an exhale, just like I just felt grounded, calm, and safe. And in fact, I got up and I was ready to go to lunch and to try again and be out there with these people and to just go out there. But as I stood up from my desk, and this is the part that's the miracle. As I stood up, there were yellow roses at my feet. And so this saint is known as Little Flower. And it's mentioned in the prayer that I just read, Little Flower. And it's said that if she hears your prayer, a shower of roses will be bestowed upon you. And this was such an example of, it's literal. And there were roses at my feet, like yellow roses at my feet that weren't there earlier during class time. There was no reason for them to really be at my feet. No one else came into the room to put roses there at my feet while I was praying. And so this was, but here's the thing. When I saw the roses, I didn't wig out. Like, I wasn't like, oh my God, there's roses at my feet. Something was just, it felt natural for them to be there. And I remember picking up the roses, and instead of keeping them, putting them in my backpack or like saving them for, to remember this moment by or anything like that, I remember picking them up and then putting them on the altar in the classroom. So that every classroom had an altar. And if you're Catholic, a lot of times Mary will be on your altar. And so I put the roses there.
You just laid them down.
I laid them down at the altar. And then I went off to lunch.
How many roses are we talking about here?
Well, it wasn't a dozen roses. Now, later, probably
more
about
than
6.
One?
Oh,
okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. No, it wasn't just one rose. Like 6 or 7 roses.
Wow. Okay.
And later, I found out from the person that gave me the prayer card, I found out that this person...
This saint? Or the person who gave you the prayer card? The
person who gave me the prayer card.
Okay.
I found out that she gets mysterious roses all the time. I found that out later in my life as I got to know my friend and her mother, that she would always have roses. And every time I would go to their house, I would always see red roses in her house. And I never, asked why until later in life, but it was just a really special moment in my life, because after that, no matter what happened, and I shared some stuff that happened before, in another podcast, no matter what, I feel like this experience of a true miracle really helped to give me a touchstone of hope, of that there is more out there than just me.
Yes.
It's so much bigger than just me and my problems or whatever I'm going through. There is another force. There is God. There is something that is watching out for me, that is hearing me, where I could matter.
Yes.
I matter. This showed me that I mattered. Someone heard me. And I can't explain how the roses got there.
Right.
But later, days later, that's when I freaked out. And I was like, oh my God, roses showed up. But yeah, so that was the miracle.
No kidding. Man.
Kind of crazy, right?
Kind of.
I mean, because that's like a traditional miracle.
That's a full on 100%
when you think of a miracle.
It's like,
because
you weren't, it's not like you put on a blindfold and said the prayer and so you couldn't see if somebody tiptoed into right? It's like you were reading.
Yeah, I was reading, so my eyes weren't closed.
Eyes had to be open. But your heart and your soul, your mind was in a posture of supplication. You were wanting help. You were reaching out to the divine other, whatever was out there. You were just, I need help. Please help me. I want help.
So badly wanted help. So I really wanted it to change. I wanted my life to be different. I didn't think I was going to survive it. And granted, in 7th grade, everything is more dramatic than it probably is. But I think we can all agree that that feeling I had of being alone, feeling like the misfit, feeling like people were looking at me and like that I didn't belong there, that's not purely a 7th grade feeling. That's a feeling I think we can all identify with today.
At some
to various degrees.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. And in various areas of our life.
Yes.
That feeling of insecurity or a feeling of...
Or like, how do I
anxiety.
Change what is happening
yes.
right now? I'm in a space where my life looks a certain way and I cannot survive this. Like, or you feel like that. Like how long is this going to go on for? And how am I going to even make it tomorrow? How am I going to get up tomorrow, come back to this school and feel so lonely and like a misfit? How do I do that? And this is just the first week of school. How do I continue on, you know? So I think we all can identify with that feeling. How do you take a life that just where you have so much discontent around it? How do you take that and change it? When you know there's got to be something better. There's got to be something better than what I'm experiencing now. And then how do you get from life A to life B being the life you want? How do you do that, you know? And so really this whole, we thought this would be a good story to share because not only is it cool when you hear about other people's miracles, and please share miracles of your own if you're comfortable doing that. We would love to hear that.
Some of our favorite
stuff.
Yes.
But really to remind us all that we're not alone.
Right.
You know, we're not alone in this. And even though all of us have varying degrees of feelings of discontent and feelings of longing, and even varying degrees of our desire to change, you know, we're also not all at the same level of how much we want to change our lives. But in this example, I wanted to change my life. I just didn't know how. So I turned to prayer. And
that's a great place to turn.
Yes, it is.
Yep.
So anyways, to close out that story, though, I do have to say that shortly thereafter, I met two best friends. And I started to find my place in that school. And I felt really good.
And I think the important thing is, as cool as the roses are, and they're cool, the real, in one way, the essence and the real truth of the miracle was the change in how your heart felt before and after the prayer.
Oh,
because
totally. Yeah.
The heart that you had before the prayer was one of anxiety and insecurity and fear and dread about your life at this school and stuff, right? And in that posture of supplication and asking, and basically it's a posture of humility. It's a posture of surrender, of saying, I'm willing to let go of this feeling that I don't want.
Yeah.
Help me. I want something different, right? And then the real miracle is the fact that after the prayer, you got that. You got exactly that.
Yeah.
You felt at peace. You felt strong. You felt stable. You felt like, no, things are completely different now.
I really did feel that way. That sounds so dramatic, but I really did feel it was like a completely different feeling.
Yeah.
Completely different. It was like that other feeling that I didn't want was just lifted from me, lifted from my shoulders.
Yep. That I've had that same experience too, and maybe I can talk about that in a future episode. But that experience, I count as, that's a miracle.
That is a miracle.
Man, that's a miracle. And that's what
the
Bible is described as the peace that passes understanding.
Yeah.
You can't explain it. It's not a mental, intellectual thing. It's just an energy feeling in your heart that, you know what? I'm at peace. Everything is okay. And the roses are like this gorgeous symbol of that.
Yeah.
And that's the language of our universe in its magical state. We live in a world where miracles like this happen.
Yes. And I really think that, you know what? And we could stand to do like a miracle episode, like have to
what do
share.
You mean? We just did one.
No, but I mean like as a regular feature, because we've had so many other things like this happen. You know, this was just probably my earliest, but Yeah, so I think that hopefully this story, some of you I know are just like, yeah, you just believe it. You believe this story and you just like, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Let me tell you my story.
Yeah. But I know some of you are like, what? But hopefully that for just anyone listening, this just opens you up a little, if you weren't open before, to the idea of this miracle mindset. You know, being able to tune into the fact that there is this, it's not just us. There is another energy, you know, whether it's the divine, whether it's the universe, life force, whatever you want to call it, God, goddess, whatever it is, it's not just us. There's this other amazing energy that we are co-creating and working with at all times.
There are layers and depths and dimensions to our existence that we don't see with our physical eyes all the time.
And learning the tools to work with this energy can truly help to create an incredible life, like I did for my 7th grade existence. Because I will tell you that shortly thereafter, I did realize, hey, I'm a lesbian. So I'll just throw that in there.
Thank you, God.
So my life became very full. That's true.
That's right.
Okay. So
God
anyways,
and divine is more than, the straight and narrow, man. There's more than we understand in intellectual sense. All right.
So anyways, hope you enjoyed the episode. And next week we will be speaking about our experience at the grotto.
And you'll find out what that is.
Yes.
Next week.
So if you love this episode,
please check out our show notes. We try to put up pictures and stuff like that. And you can leave comments on our blog, sign up for our email list and all of that good stuff. And until next time.
And leave a review.
Oh, yeah, you can leave a review too.
Leave a review on iTunes. Click the stars. And you can just even write one word.
You can write one word for the title and then one word for the review.
Oh, that's true.
Right?
You have to write two words. But it could be the same word.
Twice the amount of work. All right. That's true.
All right.
It could be the same word.
So we will see you all later. This is Siena.
And this is Toast. Telling you to love life, live free.